Hi, everybody. I'm Debra Prinzing. I'm going to just chat a little bit while we're welcoming people into the room. I'm just so happy that we're resuming the Slow Flowers member meetup, the monthly gathering that we originated in, oh my gosh, I think like April of 2020. We did take the summer off, July and August. So we're getting back into this wonderful sort of monthly way to connect, to learn from our members and their expertise, and just to kind of, I guess, I don't know, hone our skills and push ourselves a little bit with new knowledge. So I'm really excited today to have the focus be on styled shoots. And as people are entering the room, I will just tell you a little bit about our wonderful guest today. Oh, and I better stop and just give a few housekeeping rules. You can see I'm rusty. Nisha Blancas is here, our social media manager. Hi, Nisha. Are you wearing a Britney Spears t-shirt?
I am Free Britney.
Oh, I'm so glad you're wearing that. I love it. Oh, we can all get behind that. Nisha's going to be taking down everybody's names and you'll go into a drawing for our giveaways. We actually have an amazing giveaway. Rebecca and Gina are giving away one free enrollment in their course. It's all about styled shoots, or the ins and outs of styled shoots. Everyone is going to get $100 off discount, which is really generous for the course. And they're going to talk a little bit about that. We also have some Slow Flowers Society swag that we'll give away. So we have about 4 giveaways, and Nisha will grab those names. We'll do the drawings over the weekend and let people know next week. Wow, what a great group of people. Okay, so it's all about style shoes. This presentation came about because I have spent some time in the past year, well, maybe in 2020, with both Rebecca and Gina. We were together literally right before COVID hit at the Trend Summit in Vancouver, BC. We actually all shared a house with some speakers. And I remember them talking about this course then and how they, wanted to do a collaboration. And they've taught this in a couple different formats, both at Florvana, which is the online floral workshop that has happened as in a series, and now in a course that you can take online. But Gina and Rebecca are veteran florists. I'm going to tell you a little bit about both of them. Rebecca, why don't you wave so I can say hi to you first? Rebecca is one of the most respected and sought after floral designers in the Pacific Northwest. She is a collaborator. She works with clients to get to know their hopes and dreams, then works with color, texture, and architecture to bring their vision to life, either in weddings or in floral installations. She's quite diverse in her interest in floral art. She's studied with some of the top floral educators around the globe, and she brings kind of that aesthetic of seasonal and curated fresh flowers to her designs. And I'm just so happy that Rebecca's returned to Slow Flowers. She reminded me she used to be a member and now she's returned as a member. So welcome back, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Her cohort is Gina Thresher. Gina actually presented earlier, I think last year. So people may recognize her. Gina owns From the Ground Up Floral also in the Seattle area. And she has basically gotten certified in almost every category of floristry, AIFD and EMC for sure. And Gina is the president of the Northwest chapter of AIFD. So
I was last year. We have a new president now. We've moved to the next.
Oh, congratulations for getting off of that.
I'm off the train. I mean, great. Rebecca is actually going to be testing in Vegas. And if anybody is interested in AIFD, please reach out. We're a very friendly bunch. I know we seem a little like cut and pressed, but
no, not the two of you. You guys are amazing. All right. Well, so let's turn this over to, I didn't give the full introduction. So I actually want Rebecca and Gina to just tell everybody a little snapshot of their business. And then we'll talk about this approach that they have developed for styled shoots and how you can borrow these ideas and some of these tips for your own efforts. And it'd be interesting to know in the Q&A maybe, or in the chat, why don't you just comment if you've ever been part of a team that has done a styled shoot, and any other kind of observations you've had, because it'll give Gina and Rebecca an idea of, what the interest level or participation level or skill level people have had. Okay. So Rebecca, why don't you just give us a snapshot of Rebecca Raymond floral design?
Thank you. I've told people I've been in the industry for more than 20 years, and then I did the numbers. It's like, oh, 26. Okay. Where did that time go? And when I live on an island, and I was a gardener, big time gardener, and I collected roses, and I had 87 roses at one time, and those turned into, bouquets, which turned into a wedding business. That's the snapshot there, which I only did on the island. And then word spread, and I, worked off island and did that for many years. And then flash forward about, is it 4 years ago we did EMC now? Four,
Yeah.
3, 4, 4.
4.
Yeah. So I wanted to expand, and I saw things that I couldn't figure out how to do. And I thought, I want to learn how to do that. And so Gina and I both got our European Masters certification together. And that was a great shift in my floral career. And then, even though I still do weddings, it really shifted me to more towards the floral education, and loving that, and do a lot of work in Canada because I'm so close. So I'm very fortunate that I get to hop up there and work with Hitomi and have those adventures, which is really how Debra and Gina and I all ended up at the Slow Flower Summit. And so
the Trend Summit.
The Trend Summit. Yes.
We'll get you to the next Slow Flower Summit.
So yeah, and that sort of encapsulated, that pause of COVID sort of really helped me focus more on the education side of floral design, which is where I was headed anyway. So I still do weddings, mostly on the island. I haven't done an off-island wedding unless I was a freelancer since before COVID.
Yeah.
I do a lot of freelancing also.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, Rebecca. I do think it's really interesting that I watch your personal Instagram feed, and I see how often you're posting from your own garden. So that it's so interesting to realize that's your roots, that you know how to grow the flowers you're designing with.
Yes, that's where it came from. And then, I had kids, so that my garden sort of dissolved. And so the new garden it has a different energy. I call it the retirement garden, because someday that's going to happen. And I didn't want to have 87 roses to babysit.
Oh, did you say you're going to call it the retirement garden?
I call it the retirement garden. Everything I do in my garden now, I think, can I do this in 10 years? Can I keep that up? Is this a sustainable thing for me to be in this house and think about, retiring in the future, and and travel and stuff. So the things that I plant now, I think about that.
Great. That's great. That's good advice for everybody. Okay, Gina, give us a snapshot of From the Ground Up Floral. I love that you said you're going to come with your coffee cup, because it's part of your logo.
Yeah. So From the Ground Up Floral, coffee is part of my logo. And I've recently, very recently, we are kind of looking for a retail branch. So the empire is growing. And the podcast is going to be starting back up again soon. So keep on the lookout for that. Everything you can think of within the floral industry. I love it all. Weddings and events right now have been keeping me hopping. So if I'm a little scattered, that's probably why I'm running off of coffee. Events have just been incredibly, I'm just super grateful for being as busy as we are, because we weren't, do
you have a wedding tomorrow, Gina?
I have a wedding on Sunday this week. It's been Sunday, Monday for the past 3 weeks. And so that's another reason why I'm all scatterbrained. I'm like, what day is it?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, good. All right. We don't feel too guilty that you don't have, that you're going to let your wedding suffer, for
oh no, we're good
today. Yeah.
No, I've gotten pretty quick at getting the weddings completed and finished and out the door. They all require such different care.
Yeah.
And that's just, I love it. I'm never going to quit doing weddings. I think it's such a fun part of my job.
Well, that's great, because I think some people are burned out on weddings, and if they are, maybe styled shoots is a new thing to kind of re-energize your creativity and help you fall in love with flowers again.
Well, and there's a lot of people who haven't been busy, take the opportunity to do some portfolio work. Everybody runs out of content eventually.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
that's what this course is for. We didn't get to do much during the pandemic, so we kind of ran out of content.
Well, give us a little bit of a preview of what you guys are covering, and what can you give people like a mini course today in 30 minutes?
Yeah, let's chat. So I do have the mood board that I set up for our very large installation piece we did. Do you guys want to see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk through that.
Okay.
And then maybe Rebecca, you can talk a little bit about your experience doing styled shoots. Have you done many, or was this the most ambitious thing you had done with Gina?
I have not done as many as Gina. Again, most of the styled shoots that I've done as a freelancer. So I've stepped in to assist, or I was asked by the photographer to, to do the flowers. And this is the first time that Gina and I had ever, not for Gina, but for me, it was like, why don't we do this ourselves? Why are we like letting everybody else lead the way? Because as florists, if we do this ourselves, we have a little more control. So for me, this is the first time it was our personal design from start to finish. And then with all our experience of doing design shoot or styled shoots, we did this particular process together. And afterwards we were writing down all the things that worked and all the things that we could improve on. And then we just looked at each other and went, this is a class.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
People
so you have to do it to know it. And so then that helped you develop what you could share with others. Okay. So Gina, you've got the mood board up here. What do you have? An animated mood board?
So feeling pretty special with Canva today. So that's another thing. I use Canva for literally everything. And a lot of this is, we're super visual creatures, and to have mood boards to give to the rest of your vendors, it's like Canva's a game changer. You can make these so easily. I did this whole presentation in Canva. So this is what very basic mood board that I came up with. We wanted to kind of steer away from the blues and kind of go more purple. I think that was your idea, Rebecca.
Yeah, this was a spring shoot. So we wanted something really fresh and gardeny. It was a spring shoot that we did in the winter. Just like anything.
But then it was ready to be published in the spring, right?
Right. So we kind of we came up with a color palette. We did make a Pinterest board, and I included the link on the mood board for the Pinterest, so they could kind of reference the Pinterest board if they wanted to. And this was the venue. The venue had some assets that we could work with, which is always great. Like, use what you have available, people. Like, it's crazy how much you have to bring in if there's not a lot of things to use at the venue. So we decided to go with their sort of modern feel and look. And this is a past design that I did at the venue. And this is kind of why I wanted to use this venue, because I knew they had 18-foot ceilings.
What kind of venue was it? Is it a space that you would rent for an event?
Yeah, so it's called the Micro Venue, and it's kind of in Ballard. It's basically just a huge white room.
Okay. And Ballard is a neighborhood in Seattle, if everybody, non-locals.
It's like 20 plus feet.
Yeah, it's a good 18-foot ceiling. I would have to say.
Room, actually, but it's got huge ceilings.
That's funny.
It's a funny story. For the shoot that Rebecca and I did together, I remembered this was a problem. So here I am up on an 18-foot ladder trying to rehang the light, so it wasn't in any of the shots for our shoot together, because I remembered that this was a problem.
Isn't that funny? It's like you see these beautiful weddings or receptions, the photography, and there's these giant exit signs over the doors, and you just want to cringe. Nobody's thinking about how to eliminate those.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing we cover in our publication section. It's very smart to kind of consider the fact that it takes, what it takes to move a certain object. Get the shot right the first time, because it takes your photographer like 4 hours to edit in Photoshop. So be kind and just make the shot perfect if you can. It's just
when I worked on the Stylish Sheds book, which required a lot of interior architecture photography. My photographer, Bill Wright, said to me, Debra, every time you utter the words Bill can fix in Photoshop, you're adding 1 hour to my life. Stop it. So I totally understand. It sounds like a professional courtesy to be aware of those things. Even though we're not photographers, we should be aware of those things.
Right.
Well, I just remember trying to learn Photoshop and I was crying. So
yeah.
I feel the pain.
So is this a sketch that you guys did?
Yeah. So this is a sketch. Rebecca and I came up with the concept and I sketched it out.
Let me just put a plug into Gina. My sketch was like kind of the thing that you do on a cocktail napkin, sort of like very stick figured thing. And Gina goes, "Oh, I got it." And then she puts this beautiful thing together. I go, "Yeah, that." That's why we work together. She could figure out my chicken scratch there, and we're like going. She's like, "Oh yeah, I got this," and I go, "Oh, it's beautiful. I'm in love."
Yeah, it's funny when you work with somebody a lot and you become friends and you can kind of read what they're saying and interpret it. I kind of think of that as one of my superpowers. Sometimes I can just read it and it works.
Well, you know what? Play your strengths, because Rebecca and you have complementary strengths, I'm sure, in many ways.
Yeah, it's nice to have people that are on the same wavelength. So this is really important here. This is something you always want to do. You want to make sure you're getting not only websites, but any sort of social media links. You want to make sure you're crediting your vendors and you're giving the rest of your people on your team that information, because the more it gets shared, the more it's going to get seen. And it really sucks to not be credited for your work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
you
provide this to everybody who's part of the.
Yeah. And we actually have like a template in there in the course that, you can just fill in really quick, send it off to all the vendors. I also include a Trello board. If any of you are familiar with Trello, it's a project management tool. So I have a template that you can just copy and use for free. It's a great tool. I know Trello, it seems like a steep learning curve, but it's actually pretty easy once you get in there and look at it. But this is a place you could put this in there and share the board with all of your vendors that are on your team. Easy peasy, nobody's out of the loop. Zero excuses for I didn't see that, or, they forget something. It was right there on the board. You can hold people accountable a lot easier when you kind of take charge and do some event management with it.
Yeah. And the other key point that we talk about with that, and that system worked beautifully, is to talk about this ahead of time with your vendors to say, if you share a picture of a cup and you didn't provide the cup, everyone was in the shoot. So you share everybody's information.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Anytime you share anything of the shoot, you include everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if your product isn't in the picture. I would still specifically tag everybody that was involved, because it just pushes it out there. There's no reason not to.
Right.
I know it's easier to just tag 2 vendors, but these days, you can copy and paste so simply. And that's why I give the list so that it's easy to copy and paste.
So you've created this inspiration board, and you found the venue, and then had you already recruited everybody? What are the first steps, and how to walk us through the whole process?
Sure. So we kind of start with the concept, getting the team together. I feel like the photographer and I had the photographer in mind before I put the planners on board. And that's just kind of my preference. I want to make sure I have who I want to photograph. Rebecca, do you have any thoughts on that?
I believe that your location and your photographer really are the first 2 things you need to nail.
Yeah.
And then you can go from there. And once you figure out everybody's rules for that, you start bringing in people that are going to work well with that aesthetic, because not always is one particular design aesthetic going to be working with a particular venue. So those 2 things are the first things you should nail down.
Yeah. And then here we used a lot of local products, a lot of plants too. So it was really important. Rebecca really wanted to get those spring bulb flowers and plants and little ferns. So she was really, really keen on making it very gardening. And I was just
beautiful. It's a
lot of
beautiful palette.
little details.
Did you kind of have a other than the palette and the garden feel in the season, did you have a narrative for like what was this? Like a fantasy fairy tale thing? Did you have models in it?
We did.
We
Okay.
did.
All right. I guess I'm jumping ahead.
Really wedding themed, and we are, yeah, there's more. Trust me, there's more.
Okay,
so here's
good.
our greenery. We wanted to really include bamboo because we needed something that would go vertical, and we wanted it to feel a little more modern. So that's why we chose bamboo. We did paint the bamboo black, but I feel it really worked with the idea. And so here's some more of the tablescape.
We also were originally creating this for the Florvana Summit with the concept of you can, making it more sustainable, making it more eco-friendly, making choices that are going to be easier to take down and redistribute. So that was a key thing in the choices that we made.
So the story behind it was definitely like, here's how you could create an eco-friendly wedding, but it also is a style shoot.
Wow. Now, when I see all the images on this kind of compilation board, I see where the black accents are with spring floral palette is really a nice sort of refreshing. It's like a contrast, but in a beautiful way.
So that was kind of the idea, and I was kind of taken back when the planners wanted to bring in black. It didn't really seem like it would fit with me. And then she sent me back the mood board. So I sent her a mood board and she sent me one back. This is the one that they sent back to me. And I was like, perfect, you guys nailed it. And that's where it comes in handy to just trust what people do. Like I trusted them. I've worked with them many times on weddings, and they always come out with like some unique stuff. These candlesticks, I've not really ever seen them too many times before. Adding the fruit, just little touches like that. That's where your other vendors can really come to the table.
Yeah. And everybody has their jewels to bring to the table, literally. And that's what made the collaboration so much fun. They were so much fun to work with. Everybody brought something in that was unique to the shoot. Everybody agreed on it. And then we all kind of melded together to make it work. And that, when you have that, it's kind of a little bit of magic.
And so these are some of the pictures from the actual shoot. This is the outcome. So, and I want to just chat really quick about the detail shots. So if you are looking for publication, if you are doing this to be published in print or to be featured on a magazine, you want to get as many little details as you can. It's so important that you don't just think about shots with the bride holding the bouquet. You want to really tell the story and add to the narrative with things that would really be at a real wedding and featured by the couple. So that's where these flat lays come in. And I love doing flat lays. I think they are so much fun. And I love the shape on the invitations here. We really kind of played with the modern look that kept it very classic still.
Can I ask a question about this? Yeah, let me ask a question about this. So did you approach a calligraphist or a paper products company? How did you get this integrated into the styled shoot?
So that's where a lot of the other vendors come in, because they know vendors. I've worked with this person before that does the invitations, and she's credited on the list of vendors, but she's definitely worked with the planners more than I've worked with her. So she was very, very up for the challenge, really. I mean, and then you get vendors that have connections as well. So this was one of the planners connections, and he brought her in, and I think everything just fit perfectly. She did a great job.
Yeah. So the planner understood what you needed and said, hey, I've got a vendor I work with who might want to use new, fresh photography too.
Yep. And that's where you can really play up. Like, if you're not a pro at a certain thing, like, that's where you want to hire somebody else that shines at it. And bringing in another vendor, I didn't want to have to think about finding a stationery artist, a calligrapher, somebody to bring in rental stuff. So that's why I was like leaning on the planner a little bit more. I'm like, hey, this is your wheelhouse. Do what you do, and roll with it.
Carolyn Culp has a question. She said, did you use styling blocks for this? I've never figured out how to get blooms to stay so upright for the shot. And I think she means for the flat lay.
Yeah. So you have to cut them super flush. They have to be like,
and then they're kind of like tucked in there. Like you cut them really, really, like there's no but, like you're really cutting the end, and then you kind of like sort of smush them in there.
It's really pretty with the ribbon too, I think. Yeah. What was the surface that was on? Just a piece of velvet or a textured board?
I'm pretty sure this was just a board.
Board. Yeah. I think it was paper actually.
And you're saying like that, if you wanted to get this into a wedding blog or a publication, that is the kind of accent image that editors are looking for, or art directors are looking
everything.
They're looking for the little details, the things that would actually be at a real wedding that somebody would definitely think about putting a name, you know, like, oh, this is a place card. Oh, there's a real menu. Like it just makes more sense visually. And, you know, people who are looking at the publication can get a sense of, that's really great. Like they included everything. Like this is exactly what I want. You know, it just shows the whole picture rather than just a piece of it. Yeah. So this was our tablescape, and they were, the funny story, like we had to go to the Safeway across the street to go get the fruit because it was just missing something, and we had planned for fruit. But lo and behold, like, you know, stuff happens and somebody forgot to bring the fruit, but Safeway came to our rescue.
And you got the purple in there with the grapes and the orange with the leaf on it. So this, you said that the planner helped you with the table accents. So was there a rental company that got involved with where all the plates and stemware and flatware came from?
Yeah. So they did get a few of the linens. I think actually one of their linens was drapery. And you use what you have, honestly, like nobody's going to know. But
cloths, yeah.
They did bring in the candlesticks. Those were from the planner. She had those. The flatware and the plates and glasses, they did rent those. So, yeah.
And in general, would you ask a rental company to contribute that in, you know, for free? And how do you negotiate all those things?
Yeah, it's the same basis of collaboration. You know, if one of our team can go and pick up the rentals and bring them back, it's really no sweat. If they have this stuff available, they don't mind. Usually the rental companies are pretty open to it. It's usually the people that have a higher overhead that are a little hesitant. You know, I find other vendors that have perishable products like food or like us. And in this case, like it's usually the florist that gets the brunt of your perishable goods are not going to be utilized, and then, you know, you have to throw them away. But we do cover that in the course on how to repurpose your floral as much as possible, because they get expensive.
It's beautiful. I love what you guys did. It's real lifestyle, I guess, is the word that comes to me, is like, okay, this is something you could envision yourself achieving as a reader in a magazine. It doesn't seem so unattainable, but it's just also very beautifully executed.
So do you want to talk a little bit about your lovely boutonniere and your beautiful models, Rebecca?
You're so cute. The boutonniere was designed because I knew we had this spring feel, but there was that little bit of edginess to it with the modernness to it with the black accent. So instead of just doing a basic flower, you know, wire and taped boutonniere, I wanted to, you know, incorporate everything into it. So the base of this is actually, you know, coiled wire, aluminum wire into basically a piece of jewelry that I put the boutonniere onto. It's often challenging to get a model that is, you know, a bride and a groom model. And often we find like if you sort of hire in couples or bring in couples, they don't really have a lot of charisma. We were very blessed because our model is my daughter. Our makeup artist was my daughter. I'm very lucky that I have one girl who absolutely loves to model, and the other is an esthetician, so she does makeup and hair and stuff. So it came all in the family. And our groom happened to be my daughter's boyfriend, who was here because of COVID. He's actually Australian, and he was here staying in the Seattle area because it was COVID, so he could be around. So I said, guess what you're going to do? You're going to be a model.
You get to be Ethan today.
He just said, do I get to wear a tux?
It was really sweet. He was very excited.
Yeah, and they had a good time. They had a good time. Sarah models for me a lot. I joke like, Sarah, how many times have you been married? Pretend married.
Rebecca, you have great genes in your family.
Isn't she gorgeous?
Adorable. Yes.
She is, she doesn't have any professional training in modeling, but she's a natural. Mm-hmm. She's a natural.
Yeah. And I think that, I guess in traditionally, like you probably cover this in the course, the type of people that you can ask to model maybe without having to compensate or pay a fee are people who are trying to build their portfolios, right?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you find them? Just like kind of Instagram searching, or?
You can find, so I do lean on my photographer a lot to find the model, because obviously they're going to have a certain look and feel, and they're going to know a lot more people than like I would. But in this case, we were having a hard time finding a model just because of the timing of the shoot. And this, the dress wasn't really a factor. We didn't know what size the dress was, did we?
No, we didn't know. We did a little pinning. But
it fit her perfectly, which was, luck. But yeah, I lean on the photographer a lot for the model, but you can find people building their portfolio on Instagram. And we do go over how to very tactfully ask your vendors to build your team. And you just have to be very considerate, because we all know how much it sucks to be like, hey, we're doing a shoot, like, in 2 weeks, do you want to maybe like collaborate? I get that in my DMs constantly.
This was months of planning.
And annoying. Like it's not even like, hey, how are you doing? I see that you're working on this project. Great job. They don't give a crap about like anything you're up to or what you're doing. It's just super it's like a random ask that they sent out to 20 people and bites. So don't do that. Don't be that person.
Well, Gina, I think there was something that you and Rebecca wrote that I saw in maybe on your website or on the course website where you alluded to this, and you kind of, I felt it was very empowering, because what you guys said was, it's great to be a participant in a styled shoot, but you have the ability to drive this train yourself. And it's very evident to me that this is a floral focused styled shoot and versus some other product.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of them are, very floral heavy. And it's like, it's appalling to me that planners reach out to florists to do this work and don't offer any either compensation or any respect. It's very like, it just feels very cold. Why not do it yourself? Like, why not build your dream team and bring in vendors that you love to work with or want to build a relationship? This can also be a very good tool to get rooted in your community and, learn about all these really cool vendors that you have access to.
That's true. And I also would share that as you're beginning this process and thinking, I would like to control my own styled shoot, I think what is constantly found is that you may get a few no's, and that's okay, because the right fit is going to find you. And when you have that right fit, once you start that community connection, that starts to expand from there in ways that you may not ever imagine. This shoot was so much fun, and we connected with so many new people. All of that being said, that has expanded from there. And there's other ideas starting to pop because of that. And other people who say, oh, I saw you did this. Let's talk about, maybe doing something, for my venue, or for, things start opening up because you are open to it and you manage it well and you are very inclusive, when that happens, everybody starts to line up together and it opens up new opportunities for everyone.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people got a bad taste in their mouth from exactly what has been like, exactly what we've been talking about. People are like, I don't do styled shoots. No, no, no. But there's a way to do them well, and they can very much benefit your business. Not only through networking, but through, you know, you're going to build your portfolio. You're going to start doing things that you want to do instead of fitting the mold of what is trending or what you're seeing on Pinterest constantly. And if you guys don't know, Pinterest is usually about 6 months behind. Like they schedule things out. You can pin stuff for like, you know, November, December right now. But with like the floral industry, for some reason, like the trends just stick in one place, and we've all seen it, okay, 20 times. So
right. Oh, I'm sure that's got to be from wedding designers who are getting Pinterest boards from clients. You probably do catch that repetition that I wouldn't see.
Yeah. And there's another point to that is like, don't be the person with the droopy, dusty Miller, please. Oh, we've all seen that bouquet. If you do wedding designs, there's this one. I mean, it's a beautiful bouquet, but there's like just a piece of Dusty Miller that is drooping. And if
you're like, oh, that one again.
You got to really get the timeline done and use products responsibly. Make sure everything has a water source. In these pictures, this is all eco-friendly, and we didn't do a whole lot of free stemming, which is basically putting roses in without water. I mean, we did a little bit, but most of the pieces in here have a water source. We used agri-wool, we used eco wraps. At the bottom, we actually used dirt. There is literal dirt on the floor for these.
And there you have little plants in the dirt rather than cut.
Yeah.
Somebody, I wanted to know how you got Alexandra Farms. Oh, hey, perfect timing.
They are.
How did you approach them for supporting you with donated roses? Wow, what a nice layout.
Yeah, getting sponsorship. That's another key point. We don't really talk about that too much in the course. It may be an added bonus later, but this was basically for Florvana, and it was for our virtual summit. And getting into video was a very key component for Alexandra Farms. They really loved the fact that we were using all local product along with their roses. So they were very generous. And this is a flat lay that I did to kind of show what we were working with. They're just such a great company. I can't say more good things about that. They're wonderful.
So if you're going to approach a large potential floral donor, what do you need to have to kind of pitch them? Do you need did you put a deck together or write a proposal?
I would definitely consider, they're going to be giving you products to work with. So, I mean, I've been to like floral shows where they don't use like all of the products, and I'm very, very grateful to people that donate things, because I know it's very expensive for them to ship, to process. Like all of this was work for them. So in my mind, not using every flower they sent me, I would feel terrible. So like you want to put together a good mood board that shows how you're going to use their product. I would say like collateral, as far as like making sure you tell them what's going to be done with their product. Like, are they going to get behind the scenes content? Are they going to get little video snippets? Are they going to get Instagram posts? And this is something that you want to make easy for them to share, because again, the more people who see it, the better it is for you. So, we definitely could add this if this is of interest to people. I've worked on getting sponsorship now for the past 3 Florvana summits. This one coming up that we have, I did reach out to another vendor, and unfortunately Alexandra Farms wasn't able to, because they've just had so many hardships with
there's a rose shortage
right now. So they're not going to be part of this Florvana, but we will consider them again. We do have a summit coming up in a couple weeks, and we are talking with Petal Driven and Grateful Gardeners. And we have somebody bringing in some Japanese product, which isn't slow flowers, of course, but bulk of our product is going to be from Grateful Gardeners and very local to the DC area.
Yeah.
So yeah, approaching sponsors, the first thing I can say is just always be respectful, even if it's just a local vendor. You want to take it in the same mind as you would a sponsorship. So,
and I would add to that, maybe start with your local vendors and expand from there.
absolutely.
And when you, before you approach someone, have we talked about this in the group or in the class, is that make sure you have a lot of clarity about what is your why, what is your purpose, what is your plan for sharing the knowledge, and what are things that they can get out of it, and how you can expand from that, like how it can grow from that. Because one idea or two ideas, it is like the drop in the pedal. As you start talking to these vendors and say like it's a local grower and expands to that, then you can bring that to a more well-known and say, we have these people on board. Would you like to, basically I got my act together.
Yeah.
And I have a plan and I have a storyline and it's very clear, and I'd love to have you join us. And then they can, and if they say no the first time, the next time they're going to go, oh yeah, I remember them. They were very clear. They were very concise. They made it easy for us to say, not right now, but come back again. So don't take that first no as it's not going to happen.
Don't take it personally if you hear no. We have a whole section on that. And it doesn't mean no indefinitely. It usually just means no, now's not a good time.
Right. Also, I feel like once you've created this, like the body of work you have, I'm sure you have tons of images. That's sort of your calling card for the next style shoot, because that documents that you know what you're doing. Right.
And that's the end of that. We used a lot of really great stuff in that shoot. So we did include a full product list in the course for that. So that's in there. And another appealing thing for when you're asking for a sponsorship is utilizing it for the floral industry. People don't really tend to think about that, but how could you do something to showcase their product to appeal to floral vendors? Because ultimately they really want somebody that's gonna give education back to other florists, because that's their market. If you're just showing them a bridal shoot, that's just like, hey, we need X amount of these flowers to have the bride hold. That's not super appealing to them because it's not really their market. You need to think about what your vendor needs from your shoot.
Right.
Even if you're getting flowers from a local farmer, add a snippet of them in their, in their field, add their, highlight the growers, highlight whatever vendor is participating in different snippets of your work. It's not just the bride and the groom.
Did you have a budget at all, or did everybody contribute?
We did have a budget.
Yeah, we did.
We did go over.
What you said you went over, Rebecca?
Yeah, we did go over a budget a little bit because
we didn't care, because by then it started out, it's another one of those things. It started out as an idea, it started to blossom, and that was like, okay, clearly we're in this far and we can see this is going to be fabulous. And then we said, okay, in order to like make it like what we want, where are we willing to expand? And then we agreed on that, and we hit our mark. So our first mark, we knew we were going to be over that. And then we just readjusted that. And because you have to figure this is like the COVID factor. So, or right before that, it was February, right? When we did this.
Yeah. Well, no, we were all masked. It was during COVID.
We were all masked. Yeah, that's right. And so there were unknowns about finding product, getting
the bamboo.
The shipping was way more than we expected. So, and that's the thing what we learned. It's like, have a budget and then I always work this way anyway. I'm like, this is our goal. What's our wiggle number? Like, let's work around the wiggle number. So if you give yourself an extra, 10, 15%, then you can add that extra stuff, and it's not a big hit when you do it. And then it's well worth it.
Well, I feel like you had multiple purposes for this particular styled shoot. So maybe the investment of it's just the two of you personally contributed to that bucket of like expenses for which you couldn't get donations, it sounds like.
Well, and another really big point, sorry to interrupt you, is that, and Gina touches on this as well, it's really part of your advertising budget for your business.
100%.
So when you calculate that in ahead of time, you can give yourself that wiggle room. It's not a one and done deal because you're going to expand on that throughout. And if you market it in as your, if you add it in as your marketing budget, then you're just pulling from that and it's not a surprise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you've used it to build a course. So that is a way to monetize and like reimburse yourselves. And then did you actually pursue publication for a blog or something like that?
We are still sort of stuck in the submission limbo. So we're looking into it. It still hasn't been picked up yet, but I do have a list of things, like a top 10 list of things you can consider for publication. That's in there. And then I also have a list that I'm adding. This is an extra bonus of where to send your publications, with links and things like that.
But that's in addition to you all the vendors already being able to use this content on their own feeds and on their own channels, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, and you have to be a little careful. We weren't really going for anything that had exclusivity because of course we were going to use this in different ways and we were going to send it to, all of the contributors and they were going to share all the content. So we weren't really going through and looking for places that were very exclusive because some publications do have stipulations on what you can and can't share because they really want the content to be theirs and fresh and unseen. So, you kind of have to really think about that and what your goals are for the shoot. Like our goals were a little different. We wanted to contribute to the floral industry, build a course, have portfolio work. I got headshots done while we were doing the shoot. Just, you really have to expand and think about how you can make this work for your business and how you can really, really maximize the use of those products.
That's a good point. Did you have, okay, this is kind of the down and dirty part of what might be on other people's minds, because having been involved in so many photo shoots for American Flowers Week and our botanical couture teams, there are occasionally creative differences. And it seems to me that the ones that work most successfully are when it's very clear who is the boss and who's calling the shots. Do you have to spell that out, or did you just get lucky? Like, what advice do you have about those sort of tricky, sticky moments?
I think I was in a little bit of the in-between as far as the makeup artist and the modeling situation. I was very open and very respectful. I think it could have been handled a little bit better, but I know that everybody's busy and I think the communication wasn't quite where it should have been. That's why we kind of came up with these systems. And we have that whole section on the course of expectations. It's very important to go over who's doing what's being brought by who's donating this, the expense of that. Honestly, like if you don't know, you don't know. And that's where a lot of the miscommunication happens. So like that Trello board I was talking about, it's very important. And if you have something fall out of place, bring it up as soon as you can, because honestly, like scrambling last minute, it's not fun. And that's where a lot of animosity can happen.
Yeah.
We didn't really butt heads creatively. I feel like it was a very good creative mesh. And that's kind of where you want to really look at your vendors and their portfolio work and what they've done in the past and what they want to do. Because if they're not a good fit from the beginning, it may just be you need to find somebody else.
Right.
More feelings. It's just visually and aesthetically, they're not quite the right fit. Yeah.
We talk a little bit about in the course the importance of kind of having a round table before anything else is done, when you get your vendors together, have a group meeting and make it very clear, these are your expectations, this is what we're agreeing on. And then, and those expectations can also include, if something new comes up and you have an idea, we would love, everybody wants to hear about it, so that you can still have the creativity, but really it's not like one boss, but each area is in charge of bringing that together.
Yes.
And then that is their responsibility. So
Yeah.
that it isn't one of those, oh, that ball got dropped.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm putting the link in the chat to the course discount that you're offering to Slow Flowers members. Thank you both so much for supporting our community that way. This is an ongoing course. There's not a specific start time, right? It's evergreen.
It's evergreen, and we are going to be constantly adding to this. Yeah. I think, and maybe even adding some of our shoots that got published. We do have a Facebook group for this course as well, where you can come in and, give us your concepts and maybe we can help you. If you're getting stuck creatively, we have a really great game that Rebecca decided to add as a bonus. And it's incredible. Like, it's kind of like Floral Bingo, but with a creative board. It's really fun. I think we should probably play it online sometime. I think it would be really
fun.
Yeah. I'd love to play with you on that.
Great.
That is so terrific. Thank you both so much. And I know that people who are on this call are probably welcome to reach out to both of you. Karen has put your social media contact information in the earlier in the chat, and we'll have this video available also for people who couldn't attend today to watch the replay. I'm excited. I'm actually inspired. Like, I would never participate in a styled shoot, I didn't think, but I'm always trying to convince people to do things for American Flowers Week. So you've equipped me with some ideas on really how to treat the team. So this has been great. Thank you both so much. I hope it's a huge success.
Thank you for having us. We are very grateful.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's, before we wrap up, I have a few announcements. I'm just going to go back and let everybody see everybody's faces. It's so great. I seen a few people's faces and a lot of people's names. People who didn't want to get up early and put their makeup on. I kid. As I said, we have a couple of giveaways. And so Gina and Rebecca are giving away a free registration for the course. That's pretty awesome. And then Karen, are you going to show off our other fun little giveaways if you have time? Let's get you off of.
Just some Slow Flower swag that we've got for you. Yeah.
We have some plant markers and plant tags. We've got our Slow Flowers logo and accent plant tags. So we have 3 sets of those and a copy of, we're giving away a copy of Where We Bloom. So we'll have 5 giveaways. Okay, that's exciting. Next month, we are meeting on Friday, October 8th. So we're going to go back and continue the second Friday of every month. October is our membership appreciation month for Slow Flowers. We have something planned every single day for the whole month of sharing the love. And so I don't have my guests to announce, but we are going to have a focus on highlighting 3 members who are using their Slow Flowers membership to leverage their brands in creative ways with their clients, both on the grower side and the designer side. So there'll be lots of marketing ideas and just, kind of helping people find their voice about their values and what they're doing with their own business. So that will be in October, and I'm really excited about that. And I love you all. I'm so glad we got to reunite, and we'll see you next month. Anything else, Karen or Nisha? We good? Okay, Gina and Rebecca, thank you both so much. Really inspiring. And the visuals you shared, I think, got all of us thinking about what can we do. Good. Thumbs up and thanks. All right. Take care, everybody.